organizations. Next up, I do want to make sure that we take time out to thank our Platinum sponsor in particular. We're going to hear from Mr. Robert Pepper. He is Facebook's head of global connectivity and technology policy, and that includes development, adoption, and also policy regulation. He works with policymakers and industry players to develop strategies to make the internet more inclusive. Please welcome University of Wisconsin-Madison alum, Mr. Robert Pepper.
Thank you very much. And as Larry said, digital divide was important 25 years ago. It's still important. And I love Larry. He's a tweet machine. So I don't know if you've been following, right? You didn't have to be here for the entire thing, but just follow Larry's tweets, which is always just a good recommendation for everything. So yeah, I'm Robert Pepper at Facebook. And I work closely with our teams that are focusing on connectivity, broadband, infrastructure, deployment, and development. But it's also about adoption. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody here today. This is really a great meeting. In addition, for those of you who don't know me, in addition to working at Facebook and the private sector at Cisco before Facebook, I worked in government, not just at the FCC for about 20 years, NTIA, but also state government in Wisconsin and with municipalities. So, I really appreciate the challenges that policymakers, all of you have, at the municipal, state, and federal level to address these really important issues. For context, one of the things that we do each year now, going to year 4 at Facebook, is partner with the Economist Intelligence Unit. And we put together, they actually do all the data collection and analysis, and we work with them on something called the Inclusive Internet Index. And it looks at anywhere from 55, 56 indicators for each of, over time, 120 countries. And it looks at evaluating what the Economist calls, internet inclusion. And it's not just about connectivity, which is availability. They also include affordability, relevance, readiness, some of the things we've talked about here about digital literacy, because at the end of the day, connectivity is only the necessary but not sufficient prerequisite for everything else. Without connectivity, nothing happens. But even with connectivity, right, there are these other variables on the demand side that actually drive adoption. And it's adoption at the end of the day, which is what we care about. People being able to get on the internet, use the internet, benefit from the internet. So, we all know that, right? We wouldn't be here today. We're all evangelists for broadband. And connectivity is sort of at the heart of what we do at Facebook, building communities. We also think about this in terms of the partnership and the symbiotic relationship that we have with the network operators. This is not a zero-sum game. We need, globally, really, really good networks for all of the applications, for what we do. Increasingly, that's video, right? Whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, we need great networks. And so we actually contribute to that by investing globally, whether it's submarine cables, whether it's partnering with operators, inventing new technologies that they're deploying around the world to lower their costs, whether it's co-locating caching, storage with operators in over 170 countries. Right? These are non-trivial investments. On the other hand, right, the content, and it's not just Facebook, it's Google, it's all the internet companies that create the content, create the demand, right, that the network operators, use to drive demand for their business models, data plans that helps them make their investments. So it's this symbiotic relationship that's mutually reinforcing. So with all of my work around the world, in the US, globally, government, private sector, there's some lessons I've learned over the years. And I want to focus on 3 of those. right? There are a lot, but relevant 3 lessons, I think, for today. First, regulation and regulatory framework actually matters. It makes a difference. So we all know that at a very basic level, we need rules and policies that encourage broadband deployment and facilitate access and adoption of broadband and the internet. We need policies that lower the cost of infrastructure while at the same time maintaining competition, because that's what's actually going to drive lower cost to consumers and benefits and investment. Some examples. We need policies that promote access to rights-of-way and make it easy. We need policies that not only permit but foster some of the conversations here about infrastructure sharing, particularly passive infrastructure, that will drive down the costs of the investment of the networks, right? You can achieve 80% of that cost reduction sharing passive infrastructure, but that still maintains competition. So policies like dig once, build once, that both business, private sector, and local governments and states are working on. We need policies to make investments in connectivity easier, streamlining the review process, streamlining the approval process to eliminate delays and uncertainties by focusing any regulation, and regulation is needed in certain places, but focus the regulation very stiletto-like on solving real problems, not theoretical ones. And we can work together to streamline approvals while at the same time protecting the interests at the local level. And at the federal level, we need more spectrum. Unlicensed spectrum, licensed spectrum, right? The networks are becoming more wireless. All of our devices are wireless. And when we look at the next generation of devices, including things be connected with augmented reality, AR, VR, the other types of applications, next generation Wi-Fi, connecting, as we've just heard, all the things that are needed for students. We need more spectrum, particularly unlicensed, but we also need more licensed spectrum. Second lesson, and I just thought James's remarks were spot on and fabulous. I'd already planned on talking about the second. And this really is, I think, emphasized from the work we're doing with The Economist. You cannot have internet inclusion if it does not include everybody. And that means we need to, make sure that internet adoption addresses the other kind of access, which is accessibility for people with disabilities. This is a really big deal for us at Facebook. We're deeply committed to accessibility by design. We're making investments in video captioning, award-winning artificial intelligence tools that make Facebook a leader in technology accessibility to address some of the concerns and issues that James raised. We have automatic photo captioning. We're using new face recognition tools, protecting privacy, but at the same time, helping people with vision loss to know more about the photographs, the pictures that are on the screen. It helps identify those and describe them. We also have several closed captioning features to help hearing impaired people with closed captions for videos, via text filing upload, automatic video captioning, and so on. So we're not stopping there. We have a centralized accessibility team focusing on this. This is a real priority. We've been very lucky that we've won a number of awards globally in the area, and we really, implore all of the tech companies to mirror that kind of a commitment. So make it really easy so that there is no digital divide for people with disabilities. Third lesson, we cannot have internet inclusion if rural communities and tribal lands are not connected. We all know this. You can't have, this is where access is essential. We need everybody to be able to benefit from the richness of the internet applications. This group understands the digital divide better than most. Rural communities that don't have access to robust broadband are being left behind, and that's just not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable, Larry, when we started this 25 years ago. It's not acceptable today. We've made progress over the last decade, particularly, but we all know that compared to urban areas, even though we have made that progress, the gap between urban, rural, and tribal is growing. We need to address that. So, one of the things that, we've been involved in, and I'm going to applaud the FCC on, is the move to open a tribal priority window for the filing in the 2.5 gigahertz proceeding. Mariel Triggs, the CEO of MuralNet, is here, and we work with MuralNet. It's a great organization, and we think this is a real opportunity to address the issues on tribal lands. So, Francella, I really, really admire the work that you're doing here, the work with Next Century Cities. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to all of you, and thank you very, very much. Yeah,